Oh, guys. Uh-oh. So I don't even know. All right, so we'll just start like this. All right, guys. I'm here. We're talking Vengeance Day, NXT with the hobby, as far as the card hobby that is. I am Schway Nostalgia. This is the Schway. We are here to talk cards. I am here joined by two friends to talk NXT cards after NXT Vengeance Day that took place last weekend. My first guest is Evans on tour. Oh, wrong way. There you go. We got it. So Evan's my dude when it comes to all things eBay. He also is an OG seller on the Whatnots, where I met him originally. And we are gonna, talk about his opinions on what we saw in NXT and also just his experience via Whatnot and off of the eBay. And also we have my good friend Bang DDP, aka Dan, who is here as our resident NXT expert since he seems to like it the most. I think I wanted to switch up the thing and made my head like way too big, and my head's already massive, so like I don't need my head being like that big. So
you won't fit through the door, dude.
I know, man. Hey, don't feel bad for me. Feel bad for my mother, my guy. But yeah, guys. So basically, like Bang's only going to be here for 30 minutes. I thought with him we could just go through because Bang has extensive knowledge in particular when it comes to all things toxic attraction. And because he's a big JC Jane and Gigi Dolan collector personally. So Bang, as we saw, obviously Gigi and JC kind of, I don't want to say got jobbed out, but both of them going down to one Roxanne Perez doesn't seem like the best use of their talent, or at least building off the momentum. They're definitely someone I feel like the value might have gone down a little bit after that event, especially after the whole Mandy Rose thing. It seems like they're kind of drifting almost, if that makes sense.
Well, prices have definitely dropped ever since Mandy's left, which is kind of a surprise because it seems like Mandy even maybe went up more popular than she was before. But Gigi, where she was a definite $100 to $125 for an auto, you can now get them for maybe 65, 70. And JC's even down in the 25s and 30s. And I don't understand quite what WWE is thinking about doing. They had really three hot, I'm talking about white hot stars. And now they're basically pitting them against each other. Now, obviously the crowd that night at Vengeance Day, they were behind Gigi because when they got into the slugfest, when Roxy wasn't in the ring, they were doing the yays for Gigi's punches and the boos for JC's punches. It was a little bit of a mixed bag. Can you do anything to make Roxanne hotter besides keep the title on her? Her cards are going through the roof right now. Very difficult. Not many out there either, as far as different types and varieties. But I will say
that helps. I think that it helps that she doesn't have a lot out there right now.
That's true. But they need to work on her finisher. And I mentioned this to you, Schway. The Pop Rocks, she's too small to be able to do it in one fluid motion. So it's like she's having to jump on and then wiggle her way to get into the finisher. And at any point, it becomes unbelievable because anybody knows, okay, if she starts to wiggle, she's going for a finisher. I better do something to get her off of me. And so that would be the only thing that I would say for her. But I think she's going to have a long title run.
I think for Roxanne, she has, and I don't know how old she is, but like some people just have like really young faces. And I think because she has a young face that she can stay in that spotlight probably as much as they need her for, and maybe they can kind of revisit and come back. But like the whole Gigi thing, her and JC had such a big push, and I almost like felt when Gigi and JC came out for their entrance together, I almost felt like you could almost just see they were going to lose.
Right.
Like just in their facial expressions and stuff, so I was just like, well, obviously that, Roxanne's going to win, but like, how's the match going to go? I thought the match was just kind of like, okay, that was just me.
I thought the finish was okay to try to get, to put Gigi through a table which takes her
Yeah.
out of the match. I thought that was good. And then having
Yeah.
JC and Roxanne already up on the top rope, so it wasn't like a long time to set the finish up. I thought was good.
Yeah. Make it quick. Yeah.
Yeah. If you look at Toxic Attraction though, it's going to be interesting. I think WWE is going to see a lot here with both of them releasing their first figure at the same time. I think they're going to see on that realm who is hotter, and that may be who they decide to push. JC, in my opinion, is the better worker by far. I think Gigi looks sluggish at times. I think she. Well, I'll say this. I think Gigi looks really safe. She looks really safe in the ring, which is a huge deal. But because of her looking safe, she doesn't look as genuine sometimes with her moveset. JC, she's also safe, but she'll go 10 or 15 minutes in a 20-minute match, and then Gigi will just do the 5 in and out. So take your pick, but I think both of their cards are suffering because of it. And how long are we going to have JC rookie cards? Good gracious. I mean, I feel like there's been like eight or 9 sets she's been a rookie.
Yeah, it's interesting how Gigi in particular, like she's in NXT women's division, and then she was also in those WWE Superstar Euro packs. Technically, those are her rookies as well. Outside of that, it's pretty much only Priscilla Kelly indie stuff. And that's the thing about Roxanne too, is she has a lot of stuff out there as Roxy from her previous days on the indie card scene.
Yeah, I think actually, Gigi's only rookie that I know of is a top set. Like there was no Panini rookie, was there?
Yeah, she actually, I believe all the ones in this Panini one actually have been rookies for JC.
Not for JC, but not for Gigi.
No, Gigi
not
hasn't.
for Gigi. No.
So there was really just one set for Gigi to have a rookie.
Well, 2.
Have you guys been following that? I saw someone just post. I hope you're not trying to get it, Bang, but I saw someone posted the printing plate of Gigi.
Oh no, I hadn't.
Oh yeah, what were they asking on that?
It was a bid. I don't know.
Oh wow, no,
I don't know where it ended.
That one. You never know, man. Sometimes I'll just randomly bid on things and just.
Hey, I like how he answered that. It was a bid.
Yeah. Hey.
Hey, I didn't see where it ended because I'm not sure if it ended.
Yeah. So, and if it did end, he doesn't want to give away. If anybody is here watching and thinking, "Hey, I better go look at that."
I mean, I'm not going for it. I'm just saying. I always look at. I have so many key search words on my eBay, so I just try to stay broad on what I see. And sometimes I'll be like, I think this is going to be a big card. I just want to see where it ends because I just want to know for myself in case I have a similar scenario of a card, and I'm like, where should I be at on this card?
Hey, I got a question, Evans.
Yeah.
If you, because I know you're on eBay, you've been on eBay for a while. I've been on since about 20 years ago. So from the inception. So what do you search for? What is the main thing you search for on a regular basis? Is it one
on a regular? Words? It really changes. I would say I usually don't check any of that stuff until the evening because you're usually just busy throughout your day. And sometimes, and I hate to say it, but sometimes you need like 30 minutes at least to go through all your new icons that you're seeing on saved searches. So a lot of stuff I just search is like, at one point I was trying to collect all the 1985 Topps autographed of the first 22 cards of the roster. And so I had a lot of keywords to finding stuff like that. Right now, I've got to be honest, I have a lot of like WWE Topps 1 of 1. Just because I want to see some of these big cards. Not to get off subject, Schway, but
yeah,
what I've been noticing is when people sell on eBay and they have like a card that everyone wants and everyone knows, everyone's watching it. I think sometimes like if it's up there, they want to sell it. And so sometimes I just don't understand why people don't take the chance to test the market at a 99-cent auction or a $20 auction or whatever they want to price it at, because like they know they have like, let's say 60 to 80 watchers on this card that everyone wants. Why not just take that to market and just see what happens? Like you probably be surprised in a good way. Normally, I would hope so.
I don't know. Most of the stuff that I've seen that's gone to auction on eBay, I mean, this also, I think, is kind of a statement about like card collecting in general right now. But I've seen a lot of people getting way lower than what they expected on certain cards when they've gone off the 99-cent auction. For me, certain cards, I'm just like, for example, like the Brett 1 of 1 that we keep talking about. Like I'm way too invested in that card to start it at a dollar auction. So like for that, like I can't do it. Like certain stuff, I'm too invested. Like if you pull a card, you're not as bad. But like for example, I pulled a John Cena gold to 10 from Select. The last one went for 99 cents, started at 99 cents on eBay, went for like $177. And it's a gold to 10. You know what I mean? So it's like, I just don't trust if it's a card that I'm invested in or I need to get money off of to pay for other stuff. Because a lot of times these cards are putting up just because it's like, I have other bills I got to pay. So I'm just going to throw this on there because I just want to, I normally might keep it, but I need to sell it to get the money. Like, I don't want to trust a 99-cent auction. I'd rather just buy it now and not put a limit on the bottom just to see. Like sometimes, you'll get lucky. And, a lot of times I tell this in people in streams, I'll always put cards a little bit higher than I want to, just because I know no matter where I put it, people are going to ask for a discount.
If you do on the Bay, if you do buy it now, I would say always put it higher, because if you're giving an offer, if you're allowing offers, because people are always, just stupid stuff. You put up a $300 card, somebody's going to ask you if you'll take $40 for it. It's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
you know what's awesome? That there's a block feature for those.
Right.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
All right,
I have to do it sometimes, because it's just like, really, that this card's worth like minimum $100 and you're asking me to take $10 right now. Goodbye.
Yeah, right.
So.
It's interesting too, because especially with NXT now, it seems like there's no real rhyme or reason to who, besides the obvious, like, Cora, JC, those types of people. With Panini, the other NXT stars they choose for a lot of the sets seem kind of like arbitrary. You know what I mean? Like they throw Aaliyah James in the new set. They throw, hey Mamista, how you doing? They throw a
Maury Miller.
Yeah, like Bodie Hayward guys where it's like, okay, and then they don't put in Chronicles someone like Fallon Henley, who she was, I think the only WWE card she has currently is in the NXT 2.0 set. But, she just won the title. I'm not saying that she's going to be the next Sasha or the next whoever, right? But I'm just saying in terms of like, people are instantaneously going to be more interested in her because of the fact she's getting a bigger platform. And let's be honest, women sell better card-wise, at least on Whatnot. I don't know about eBay, but Whatnot.
Do you think that because obviously you can go up to the WWE roster and you can do the same thing with the Shanky, do you think that there is something in their contracts to say, hey, we may not give you this blockbuster contract like some of the others, but we will give you X amount of cards? Or do you think Panini is doing their deal specifically with the athlete?
Once you sign, like, I think they might have to pay the like wrestlers individually for like the autos and stuff. That's part of their deal that they signed with WWE. You know what I mean? But everyone that they're doing, I'm sure what happens is WWE probably gives them a rosters of names and pictures, just like probably a zip file just full of names and pictures and all this. And they're like, all right, we need these wrestlers specifically in there. And then here's a bunch of other people you can choose or whatever. Because
I think they kind of give them like the next, like the plan for the year. And they have like, a big batch of wrestlers to choose from. The fact that we've been having these 200 card checklists, it's like, gosh, there's really that many wrestlers, but there's more than that are signed to contracts. For the autographs, they do have to pay them per autograph. I'm sure like those NXT people, it's probably like $5 or $10 an autograph. Like, but the fact that they're signing like 300 or 400 signatures, it adds up and makes it worth your time. For people like John Cena, that's why there's not a lot of the base autos and stuff, because he probably gets at least $50 to $100 per signature when he does that, I would imagine.
At least.
Taker.
Yeah.
Why do you think, which, if you go to Aaliyah James, I think that she did quite a bit in the UK as well. But when you get to some of these others that, like you said, Fallon's been around for a while, why, and even Kiana James, she's also the tag champion and she doesn't have any cards. So why would you I guess, have that movement. It's almost like, you remember NXT back with Tops used to have a called up section
Yeah.
where they would put
Yeah.
inserts in, and it would be, hey, these people have been called up to the main roster. It'd almost be interesting to add, the next level or NXT up, if you want to say that, next up packs where, just ever so often you're just adding in a few new wrestlers instead of having to come up with a whole nother set. I just don't know logistically how much that would cost Panini to do, but it would be interesting for a collector, I think.
I think the NXT level up thing, the issue would be is just that sorry, there's an angry dog next to me. The NXT level up thing, I think is such like I want to say a fluid program in the sense that it's constantly changing with because they have a lot of people coming on to do basically like tryouts almost. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, this person's been in the PC. We're going to give them a run at NXT level up and have them go against a couple people who are lower end NXT guys just to see how they fare. And kind of it's like kind of the barometer, for like Shawn Michaels, and then to be like, all right, so she's ready. She's not, because was it Tesha Price or whatever? She was on NXT level up for a while, originally on AEW Dark, and then coming over to WWE doing the level up thing, and then now she's doing her thing. So I just think NXT level up, it would be cool to have as like an insert set. I just feel like there's so many different people changing all the time that it's going to be hard for them to end up actually printing cards from that set.
With how far back they have to go to start printing this stuff, there's always going to be the chance that someone's let go or fired, or maybe their career's over. So I remember very early on, like that 2014 top set, the NXT side set that has the Charlotte and Sasha rookies and all that. There's a lot of other people in there that just didn't really do anything, and you kind of look at that for 14, for 15 tops, there's just there's that Hideo, there's a lot of Hideo Itami. They thought he was going to be the next guy. The dude kept getting injured like crazy. He had to retire. So I think
I thought Hideo was Kenta. I thought he's in New Japan.
Okay. Well, he left WWE because he kept getting injured so much that I think they finally just cut ties with him. So, and there's a lot of wrestlers they'll pop in and out of those card sets, and you're like, well, where did they go? I never even saw them ever.
In Prism, especially with that, you saw a lot of people when Prism dropped. There was especially like a lot of NXT UK people and NXT people. A lot of them, by the time it happened, even like Pretty Deadly was in that set, and they weren't fired, obviously, but they had different gimmick names within the set.
Yeah.
So
I'll be interested to see when NXT Europe comes on board and we go through the next cycle of Prism. I'm going to be interested to see.
God.
How many of those people will be. I mean, obviously they're going to have to bring back a ton of those people to have a roster in Europe, but it'll be interesting to me to see how many of those, and will they get a new gimmick with new rookie cards? And then that's another question I wanted to ask you specifically, Schway, is if you have somebody that, like a Harlan who has a rookie card in the WWE, then he goes over to AEW. Now his name's Parker Boudreaux or whatever his name is now. What do you claim as the rookie? Because AEW is going to put out a card and they're going to say that's a rookie, but it's a completely different name.
I mean, but AEW never says anything's a rookie, and that's, one of the issues I have with AEW is they don't have any distinguishing factors for any of their rookie cards. Sorry, Morty's trying to get me to scratch his butt, so he's pushing my table. But they don't have distinguishable rookies in AEW. It's kind of frustrating for me as a collector. As far as that, I would probably take either the AEW, most likely the WWE one. I would say someone like I'm kind of backwards almost doing that with is I was a big fan of Nathan Frazier, who's currently in NXT. When he was in AEW, he was on AEW Dark as Ben Carter. And Evan, for the folks at home who aren't hip to Nathan Frazier, which I'm going to be honest, you have no reason to be hip to him. He's done nothing in NXT at all. He actually was in AEW and he was trained by Seth Rollins. And I saw several matches on AEW where he tore the house down. Like, he was great. And then they put him in NXT UK, and now with NXT UK transitioning into NXT Europe or whatever the heck they're doing it, he's kind of been pushed to the side. But his in-ring ability is great. I really feel like down the road, he could be someone who, for a cheap flyer for me to take, because I literally got his elephant the other day for $10. For me
Yeah.
to like take a cheap flyer on him, I'm like, hey, I think his upside's pretty nice. Why not? I would love to see him get more time on actually NXT, but there's so many people on NXT that are currently like that, because I think you're going to see that next crop of NXT people. Bang and I were talking about this offline, going up, because you're starting to see Indy Hartwell lose all the time. You're seeing Toxic lose a decent amount. All three of them, I've seen a jump in all of their values. I mean, like Bang was saying, I think JC and Gigi shot down a little bit. Indy's definitely been going up, but I felt like Toxic's value kind of started shooting down a little bit once Mandy left, but now bringing them up to the main roster, I think it just makes sense. I don't really know what else there's left for them to do on NXT. You know what I mean? Unless
I think the storylines are kind of like cashed out, and they need like a new group of people to start with.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is, from a collector standpoint with NXT cards, because all of my PC basically started with NXT, and now they're all moving up. And so my thoughts is, as a collector, okay, well, now I've got a good base set when they were a nobody in NXT, and now I'll continue on. But now, do I pick up more NXT people and take that same risk? Because my PC, I've got 4 PCs, 2 girls, two men. I've got Santos, Cameron Grimes, I've got Lacey, and I've got Indy. So, between those 4, you could pick up anything that you wanted. You used to go in and say, man, Santos, I could absolutely, give me $5 and you can have that. Now, he's on SmackDown almost every Friday night, and it's a whole lot
He's
different.
getting some steam. Yeah.
Yeah. So, as a collector, it's the NXT. I know that there's a lot of people that don't like to watch the product because they feel like it's inferior or whatever. There is a lot of safe wrestling on there. And by safe wrestling, I mean not connecting kicks, not connecting punches, because they're trying to make sure that everybody stays safe, because that's the most important thing at that level. But, I mean, these are the superstars of the future. I mean, and then if you don't get in at the ground level, you're not going to get in. With that said, Vengeance Day, I wanted to say, I thought Vengeance Day was one of their better pay-per-views, which I know they don't have a ton, but it was good storytelling. They built all the matches up. They definitely set something up for Carmelo and Braun, even though Braun looked very shaky up on top of that cage. He scared me to death. At the end,
why would you go up there and do that? I don't think anyone would be comfortable up there.
Yeah,
there's no way.
I do that all the time recently, man. Like, I see people.
I know.
It's just such an unnecessary risk.
That was his Cody moment. Cody moment.
Right.
Well, and I thought it was interesting that Grayson Waller had a better entrance than Braun. So you had Grayson Waller come out, which he looked fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought
that pre-cut.
I think that wasn't to bury him. I think that so he didn't look like he got buried too much, probably.
Yeah. But, he comes out, he's got all these ladies, he's got the golden boot he's going to drink from and the whole 9 yards. And then Braun comes in a dadgum run through for a high school football team, and it just kicks through and walks out.
The pre-cut sign was terrible. You could literally see it was already pre-cut, which was just so bad. I will say, like, for me, and I don't know if either of you guys saw this, but I've been like, well, Bang knows, I've been very high on Grayson Waller. I've been picking up his stuff where I can here and there where the prices make sense. But I don't know if you guys saw, he had the thing afterwards where Shawn Michael was having his little press conference afterward, the media scrum, and Grayson Waller came in and started bitching him out during his media scrum and like yelling at him and stuff, trying to build on. There's a lot of little tiny things they're doing with Grayson Waller that aren't on TV that I'm actually like really enjoying. Like, I almost feel like Grayson is more ready for the main roster than guys like Braun and a lot of the other people who are coming up.
He seems like he's ready.
Yeah, he seems like a natural, man. So I'm really excited, more so to see what he does on the main roster than Braun or anything. Because Braun, if he wasn't, like, don't get me wrong, I like Braun, he's cool. Realistically, though, if he wasn't related to Scott and stuff, would people care? I think is a pretty valid question to the level that they do.
I don't know, but he's definitely the cookie cutter Vince McMahon choice of the next top talent. So
yeah, when
you already have the look and the moves and stuff, he's already kind of like further ahead than a lot of people. Sadly, he's got the height and everything. So
definitely, I'm just way more excited long term about Grayson Waller than I am about him personally.
He's got way more to his story.
Yeah, as a heel, Grayson Waller does a great job with. He reminds me a lot of Seth when Seth is a heel, like the whole chainmail thing to make fun of Scott Steiner.
Yeah.
The whole bark and that kind of thing. The little things like wearing the dots when Seth did it, and those kind of things. So I think he has a bright future, but I still think he's not going to leave NXT for the next little bit. I may be wrong, but
maybe after Mania. Maybe after Mania.
I'm thinking they need him there longer. I think he's the biggest heel.
Probably.
Who's
think
going to
it's
fill his spot?
I know we're skipping around a little bit because we're at Braun and Grayson now, but let's talk about, card values between those two guys then, because
it's not close.
I'm just going to come out and say it. It's not close, but I'm going to come out and say it. When Braun first came out, there's a lot of heavy upstream direction for all of his value, and people were overspending a lot on his stuff. And I kind of waited for it to subside, and I was starting to pick up a lot of base and maybe the next level up autos for $35 to $45. And I just started getting as many as I can because I just didn't know which card would be his auto card. And what's funny is there's still really not a definite, this is his best auto card to have, because he's changed his autograph a little bit. I've kept on to his Prism autograph, and I pretty much got rid of every other card because I was like, what am I doing with all these? I had 8 other versions of his autograph, on different cards. And so I'm kind of saying that the Prism is going to be the one to keep, but as I'm watching stuff sell on eBay, it's not really that impressive.
I can't say this about any other person, so I'm gonna brag about it now. I had the one. I used to own the one Braun auto that everybody wanted. I had a 1 of 1 select auto of Braun, but I did sell it. Because again, he's not in my. I mean, somebody made me a good offer, and he's not in my.
Tell us what you got for it, Bang.
I got 17. I got 1,700.
That's a great profit for an autograph. Jesus.
Yeah, it was a $20
buy-in.
At that
point, he hadn't wrestled that much.
Yeah. So, but just don't say it too much because Schway's a little angry. He
Hey, I was just happy that he at least gave me the heads up and just was honest and told me what was up. I ain't mad. If I'm talking to someone about a deal and they're just we haven't agreed to anything specifically, and they're just hey, I had to take this. It was more money. I'm never mad
until the payment hits my account. The card is for sale.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So if he got a better offer, I ain't mad at that. I do get annoyed when someone tells me we have a deal and then they
oh yeah, if you say it and then
yeah, that's happened to me before.
But so that's awesome. So I still think a Braun 101 autograph, that card now, maybe only $1,000. I don't know, and there's a lot of people that have pumped Panini value and stuff. And I get it. But when I kind of rethink of how Topps 101 autographs were, it caps out at some point. There has to be a limit of what someone's going to spend on this wrestler. And so I kind of went through and cleared a lot of my Braun autographs out. And I got to tell you, I was kind of bummed with some of the auction endings. I was wow, every card almost sold for even if it's just a couple dollars less than what I paid for it. I was very surprised. I thought he was an easy person to collect and think long, because I had held those cards for over a year, and I'm thinking it's probably gonna, or close to a year, and I'm thinking by then maybe I'll make $20 a card or something. And it was just crickets for the listing. Not many people viewing it, not many people watching it. Everyone's got a freaking Braun Breaker autograph.
Well, Evan, what I was going to say earlier when you were talking about what's the definitive autograph of him, that's the thing about Panini. There's so much product they put out within a year. It's hard to know. I will say this, what I've noticed in my limited time in the hobby is that, at least with wrestling people, I don't know if this is the sport, people seem to value the on-card auto over a sticker auto. People really seem to, because to me personally, aesthetically, on card better. But to me, if it's a 101, it's a 101, regardless if it's a sticker or if it's on card. It doesn't really, some people it really matters. I've had people where they'll be you have so-and-so, and I'll show them 5 autos and it's a sticker and they're I don't want it. So that's the one thing I've noticed. So like I've seen, it seems like people really seem to like Impeccable and Select is sticker, obviously. I think a very underrated set, at least for the hits, is NXT. Like the base card, it's just there's so much base card in that product, and like pretty much everything besides the autos is like not really worth, yeah, not worth even some of the numbered cards. Like I actually just picked up the Carmelo Hayes 1 of 1 like base card from that set, but like that's just because you know me, I can't help myself. It's Carmelo Hayes. I'm gonna try to pick it up if I can get it at a decent price, you know.
Can I
The
can I
first,
give you a couple?
yeah, go
Can
ahead.
I give you can I give you a couple hot takes before I have to get off here?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Bang has to head off in a minute or two.
Oh, sorry.
So I will say this: I think Carmelo is going to be the one to get the title from Braun. I think this is going to be the one that Braun doesn't get. I think that Braun will go to the main roster.
He's got to it. I think after Mania, he's headed that way.
Yeah,
he's got to.
I think that Caden and Katana, they didn't know what to do with them. They left the belts on them simply because they just didn't know what to do, and they didn't have anybody to take it off of them. I think that the women's tag team division in NXT is in big trouble, especially if they go, hey, Mamista, especially if they go to, moving Toxic up. I think it's going to be huge, huge trouble. They have no one there. I think Kiana and I think that Fallon are two singles wrestlers. I don't think they're a tag team. Now, I will say this: there's a lady coming up, and I want you to keep an eye on her. Her name is Ghi. She's Spanish. That's her real name. What she's been doing, she's training. She's the one that's been the secretary for Kiana James. So she's been on screen. She's not said a lot, and they've not really said anything. Kiana said a lot to her, but I think that if they could move if they could get her ready, you can follow her on Instagram. She's kind of chronicling what she does. She's a model, but she's learning how to wrestle. If she is a decent wrestler, I think that her and Kiana could be a pretty good tag team. Then lastly, for the just the ladies singles, I think that they're scrambling because of the Mandy situation. I don't think Mandy will be back. I don't think there's any reason for her to come back, at least not now. I know a lot of people said maybe she'll come back to the Royal Rumble, maybe she'll come back after Mania. I don't know why she would. She's got the money coming in. She doesn't need WWE at this point. She's got the fame. She's got the money. So, who is the next one up? Okay, well, they're jobbing out Andy. The only one really getting the push right now. And I think they're going to keep the belt on Roxanne, but I just don't think she's going to carry the title, and I don't think she's going to keep the credibility. I think it was a good story. She was the underdog. She's small. She's undersized, but I don't think that she's going to be able to carry on and win these grueling matches with her finisher. So then that goes back to, do you have Tiffany Stratton somewhere in the wings being ready to be that next person? Good. And I'll say last thing, her promos are going to have to get a lot better for her to be able to be.
I figured something was wrong because I don't see her as much as I figured I would.
Who are you talking about, Tiffany?
Tiffany, yeah.
She
looks like a star on the cards, Yeah,
she looks like a star. She had enhancement surgery, so she was out for like 7 months.
Real quick, Roxanne Perez, we always talk about she's a little small. Guys, have you ever been to a wrestling match and saw Alexa Bliss in person? But she is so small.
Sasha's small too.
She's probably she's probably right up there with Alexa, in height, I would imagine.
But the difference is they are believable underdogs. I don't think Roxanne's believable yet.
I mean,
she's too smiley.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, a lot of I know I'm going to get killed for this, but Liv, Alexa, a lot of them just aren't very believable to me anyways. I kind of just take it with what it is. Some people are just too small because it's hard for me. Just in AEW, when I was watching one time and they had Riho beat Nyla Rose for the title, and I'm just I don't believe, it's you can't convince me that this is really happening, and I know I hate comparing the two products, but stuff like that where Alexa Bliss beating someone else who's bigger, if Alexa Bliss beat Rhea, I would have a problem with that, because Rhea or Bianca, if she had beat Bianca at the Rumble, I would have had a problem with that.
Well, the last time you went to Raw, they had Alexa beating Piper, right?
Yeah, they did.
And how did that feel?
I was the only person booing. Everyone else seemed happy about it. By me, it's not I'm one of those people, like, believability matters to me. That's why I collect Jade Cargill. That's why I like Rhea. That's why I like Raquel. Like, women like that, you see them, they're believable. You're like, okay, Jade should be kicking the crap out of people. She's a tank. When Rhea won the Rumble, I was happy. I'm like, good, make her a champion. Let her kick the crap out of some people. She's believable.
Right.
Like, she's what I want a champion look like female Hulk Hogan vibes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's the
I
stuff.
agree.
Yeah, that's the stuff I like versus having when they had Liv be champion. I was just like, I don't believe it. You know what I mean? It doesn't come off authentic to me. Like, it's a cool story, but having said that, it's still like, it's not. If you saw Liv in a street fight versus Rhea Ripley or someone else, like, you'd assume she's about to get her ass kicked. Like, let's be honest.
All right, I'm gonna leave with this question, Schway.
Yeah,
So you've got Dijak.
yeah,
He used to be Teabag.
yeah. Teabag with the broken finger.
Who used to be whatever he was before that.
Dominic Dijakovic.
Who is the
Yeah.
rookie? They come out with a Dijak card. Which one's the rookie?
Yeah,
Dominic Dijakovic.
I think that if he comes back as Dijak, they're not going to make a Dijak rookie because they have the T-Bar one, and then they also have the Dominic Dijakovic. It would definitely be the Dominic Dijakovic one.
What
sure
happened to
say
this
this.
guy? What happened to this guy?
I will say
He was
this.
like a star.
I think they're committed to him. I think they put him. I think they really thought that Retribution, that they would be able to play off the whole Antifa thing and it would go over better. It did not. I think their leader was very weak, and Mufasa or whatever his name is.
Mustafa.
Yeah, him too. But I think that Dijak, I think they're committed to him. I think they're going to make him whatever they want him to be. And I think you watch him and you watch Sol Roca. I think she's going to be a star. Just give her time.
I've been asked about her a lot. Her and Yulissa Leon, I get asked about all the time.
Give her time. And I think it's funny that they're pushing Valentina instead of Yulissa at this point. So,
yeah. I mean, dude, like I said, when it comes to WWE, a lot of times if you're looking for reasons, I think, and this is going to sound terrible, but I really feel like they're basing a lot of this off who they think is more visually appealing. To be honest, that's the only real thing I can see because they know it sells. They have research to show who's selling and who's not, and they're able to tell that, okay, people like Liv, people like certain women on here, and we're just going to exploit that. You know, that's why people are getting mad at them about the Mandy thing, because it's like,
so which figure are you going to buy, JC or GG or both?
Which figure? I'm not buying any of the action figures.
All right, I got to go. Thanks, guys.
All right,
thanks.
Appreciate you, buddy. You too. Whoop. Look at that. We just popped.
All right.
Yeah, dude. I don't know, man. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, the Dijak thing, like, when I remember he was on a takeover a couple years ago, I was like, this guy is a legend. Like, he did like a really long match and it was super believable, and I was like invested into it. And then I just didn't really see him for a while. And then I didn't really notice that he was T-Bar, and I'm opening all these packs. I'm like, who the hell are these people?
Right.
And before you know it, people are like, oh yeah, they don't even use that character anymore. I'm like, okay. So I've got all these like cards of T-Bar that, you know, it's just the same WWE storyline. You know, it gets stale, they move on to something else. But I was happy to see him back and have a really good match. But like, my question is how important is that North American title now? You know, since like, you know, I hate, you know, Velveteen Dream, before all the scandal stuff, he was a star, and he like seemed like he made the belt.
Dude, he was good at what he did. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, you know, I agree with anything he does socially or anything that. But as far as being a wrestler, he was a good wrestler.
He was a great wrestler.
Yeah, it seems like almost just I don't know. Like, I liked what they did with Mello when Mello had it. Wesley is a fascinating story because it's like, Wesley was in that tag team. And it's funny, Evan, since we talked last night about that tag team, the Radicals and then MSK, MJF actually came out and tweeted in defense of Nash Carter / Zach Wentz on Twitter today, talking about how he thought he actually wasn't anti-Semitic and blah, 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 and brought up all these stories about him looking out for him and stuff. So it's a very interesting story with that. But they end up taking a hard left with Wesley because they immediately dropped Nash Carter. And now you see Wesley is the North American champion. And they also had a couple other kind of short-term, like the last North American champion, you know, I'm putting Mello in there as someone I like, but before Mello, the last one I remember really liking their reign was like Damian Priest. I remember Damian Priest had a great reign. I remember Keith Lee had a great reign. And what you're saying, what happened to Dijak? Evan, we both know what happened to Dijak. Okay, we know what happened to Dijak. He went to the main roster, and Vince McMahon was like, I don't understand this because I don't watch NXT. So I'm just going to throw you in with some like random gimmick that I'm doing with someone else. I'll just make you an ancillary character, you know? And that's the thing is like, that's the one thing I've really enjoyed about Triple H taking over is there's more symmetry with NXT. You know what I mean? Like they're creating characters that they're just going to bring straight up. There's no point of having it if you're not going to like continue the story. And that's what happened with Dijak is they just completely killed his story. And now like he's basically, they've relegated him and Apollo to NXT to just get over a younger talent. That's going to be his job now. And barring something crazy happening is he's just going to be on TV getting over younger talent. It's almost like, you ever seen Space Jam, Evan?
Oh yeah.
You remember that scene when Jordan does the wager with Danny DeVito's alien character during the game where he's like, oh yeah, what happens if I win? He's like, if you win, you know, and he's talking about like being on the planet and signing autographs and you'll always lose and you lose every game and blah, blah, blah. Like that's pretty much what happened to Dijak. He's signing autographs all day for various Panini products for $5 an autograph. And then he's going to lose to every single talent like Wesley that they have coming up. And don't get me wrong, Wesley had an amazing match and he has upside.
It was a good match. It was a good match.
But realistically, like, what's the ceiling on a Wesley? Like, you see what they're doing with Ricochet on the main roster. Like, they don't seem to like a lot of the small guys who are
Ricochet is literally in that Dolph Ziggler territory. He's a great wrestler. And they just use him to put over talent. He had a lot of interest in the beginning.
He sells amazing too. Like when he takes hits and blah blah blah, like he'll take stunners and all this shit, and like he can make it look really damn good, man. That's the thing. So it's just realistically, some of the guys in NXT, that's my main problem with NXT. Is some of them I'm like, where is there room for a Wesley or an Andre Chase U on the main roster?
Well, I was just gonna say, I made a little note over here and I wrote Chase U. I think that guy is freaking over, dude. After watching that pay-per-view, like they are into his stuff. Like he's interesting. I'm not a big fan of the character, that school style. Like that doesn't really interest me, but I'm interested in him. He seems like he's got like a wild hair and it makes it more interesting to watch. So I'm interested. That it draws me in.
I don't know why, but I'm getting vibes of like Stevie Richards and Right to Censor sometimes, with like him just leading that faction and just like having him just being kind of absurd and over time. I was a huge Right to Censor fan, to be honest. I always felt like that gimmick was kind of like underrated in my opinion. You know, it had a lot of meat left on the bone because it's just so like they're the best heels. It's literally
who is in Right to Censor is Victoria or no, not Victoria, Ivory,
Stevie Richards, the Good Father, Val Venus,
the Good Father,
and Bull Buchanan for some reason.
Yeah.
Bull Buchanan's son Bull Buchanan's son is actually in the NXT system right now. I forgot what his name is, but apparently he's a pretty hot prospect currently.
So after watching the entire pay-per-view, did you think, because the idea of this stream is, do you think there's value on these players after the pay-per-view? My personal opinion is it might have added a little bit to Roxanne just because it keeps putting her in people's eyes and so it kind of reminds people like go get some more of her cards. But other than that, like I was kind of thinking like maybe go back and get a couple of the Dijak cards unless they just fuck it all up for him. You know? Nah,
I'm not gonna buy into Dijak, dude. They're gonna do with him what they're doing to Apollo Crews right now, where he's just gonna be stuck there doing it's my takeaway from it is this, like, if I could take a couple cheap flyers on some Fallon Henley NXT numbered cards, like if I could get like a gold or a 101 or something really low numbered as her rookie card, I might take a cheap flyer on one of her cards. I really think like especially seeing him, I know he lost to Braun, but I really feel like Grayson Waller's value is going up the highest right now, like the quickest, I should say, of anyone in NXT at least. To me, he's
What do you feel about Trick Williams?
I mean, he has upside, and he's cheap too. He has upside. He's cheap.
He's good on the mic.
He's good on the mic, but it's one of those things, like, is he gonna be the Kevin Nash to Melo's Shawn Michaels, like, the Diesel to Shawn Michaels connection, or are they gonna go up to the main roster together, or is he gonna be in NXT and do it? Like, how is he gonna do on his own? What's his thing gonna be like on his own? He has, like, the skills are there. It's just I haven't seen him enough in the ring. He can talk on the
Yeah.
mic,
Isn't
but
he from like another promotion, like Ring of Honor or something?
I don't think Trick is. No, it might be
Oh,
another
okay.
promotion, but not. I don't think Ring of Honor. I would have to double check. I know. I just picked
I
up.
just thought he came from somewhere else.
Well, I know I picked up some Carmelo Hayes cards when he was Christian Casanova. So like, here I can look it up real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly, sadly, and this is just my opinion, and we're talking about NXT, but the NXT stuff to me doesn't really like ding the radar too much. Like if I remember when takeovers were pretty good, like you could watch the whole thing and be like, man, there really wasn't even a stinker match on this, When I
Yeah.
watched the one that was this weekend, I was just the Dijak match happened, and then it was like kind of crickets for me for a little while. I thought that the quad, the 4 tag team match was kind of cool. It could be, yeah, if they just push them like that. But then again, why would anyone want to go to AEW right now? There's so many freaking guys there.
I was
like
about
no
to
one gets
say.
used.
I was about to say I'd rather AEW didn't sign Dijak just because they have so much talent, man. They don't have enough time, like currently, to show it all. Like they really
The upper deck guy, by the way, on Card Foundation podcast, he said that or it was like Patreon or something. I can't remember, but he mentioned that they might start getting into the realm of rookie card logos on the Series 3.
Yeah, they should get in the realm of getting rid of those damn e-packs because it's just like kind of not my favorite. I'm gonna be honest, dude. Like now, like after seeing some of the stuff I've seen from e-pack, I don't even think that's a whole nother conversation. I don't know how much I can get into like any of their actual physical product anymore based off what I've been seeing from e-pack. That's again, Evan, that's a whole nother conversation. So as far as NXT, what you were saying, like that's pretty much what the MO has been ever since Triple H got taken away that first time. And after they quote unquote lost to AEW, where there was no need for that to be there. It's just Vince was being a dick and trying to mess with AEW to nip it in the bud, as they say, And they stripped it down and basically made it into that original developmental thing. Because before, like you said, the old takeovers, you had Ciampa, you had Keith Lee.
It was just that class of wrestlers were just,
right, guys who were,
sometimes you don't know how good it is until it's gone.
Right.
So let's just say while we were watching that, we thought this is good. I wouldn't say it was the best thing I've ever seen. It was still really, really good. Like especially like when Bayley and Sasha had their matches and stuff. But once that team goes onto the main roster and you're like the next people start coming up, you're like, this is not the same, and it won't ever be the same. You want it to be different. You don't want it to be the same group of people, just different faces come up every time. Like it needs to be different, but it just hasn't been good enough to like keep me invested in like checking back in on it. I guess.
Well, they're also all the guys that we're mentioning beforehand for the most part wrestled before WWE. They're all people who wrestled on the independents, and one of the things Nick Khan and WWE really focused on was just hiring essentially blank slate athletes that they could build up into what their image of a superstar wrestler is. So that's why you see a lot.
Yeah, because they have to retrain everyone. If they've learned, they have to retrain them.
Yeah, so basically, a lot of the guys they're bringing in are literally, it's like they haven't wrestled before they came to WWE at all. They literally, a lot of them had no aspirations of being wrestlers. It was just like WWE showed up, or someone was like, "Hey, you can try."
Oh, we're losing the Schway Meister. Oh no! Come on, Schway. Well, if everyone's still watching this, I would say probably my favorite match out of the whole deal was probably the Dijak and Wesley match. Towards the end, obviously I was interested in the 4-way tag team match.
Yeah, there you go.
Coming back. There he is.
Dude, that was wild. I don't know. My my StreamYard's just weird, man. I've been trying this thing. This is all new technology. I tried last time I was in a different room and I fucking got kicked out like twice. So this time I tried.
Hey, I think this was a success though. Only one time. It was pretty good.
Yeah, not too bad. But yeah, a lot of these guys are literally like complete blank slates who have like literally as they're on TV, they're getting like some of their first reps they've ever had. So it's a lot more rough.
Yeah,
nearly
they don't get enough. They don't get enough practice at all.
Yeah, that's the
At
thing.
all.
You can tell they're not getting enough of the ring stuff, which I know they've been talking about. What NXT's been doing more on the road stuff, which is good. I had heard a rumor, which I guess got, recently got denied by WWE, but apparently they were talking about letting NXT people actually wrestle some indie shots as a way to get them some more seasoning, which I thought was a great idea. It turns out that in actuality, it's just Ivy Niles going to wrestle for Booker T for his Reality of Wrestling thing as a one-off shot. But to be honest, like, the idea of that I found fascinating because I'm like, you're talking about someone like, I don't know, Tiffany Stratton or Grayson Waller or those types of guys where like neither of them really have a wrestling background. You put them in an indie shot in front of a non-WWE potentially hostile crowd, something different. You're really throwing them to the lions then and seeing what you can get out of this. You know what I mean? You're seeing how good, not everything's going to be the NXT Performance Center, or you're essentially a home field advantage type thing. You know what I mean? And it's a good seasoning opportunity for them as well.
I think it's a great seasoning opportunity. The other side of all that is if they get injured at an indie match, they're going to be in fucking trouble.
Yeah, that is very true.
I think there we go. Oh, okay. So I just worry. Like the chances of them getting like more time to wrestle is really just in the performance center when they're like getting their reps in there. Nice. And until they truly don't really feel like what the schedule is really like until they get to WWE. I personally think, because then they can wrestle like on Fridays and Saturdays, because it's not like they wrestle. I guess it's more so if they've got Raw on Monday, SmackDown on Friday, and what is it, NXT on Wednesday or something? I'm just guessing here.
Wow, Evan, you're out of touch. Tuesday, buddy.
Tuesday. Okay. See, I don't watch it.
Yeah.
I watch all like the screen grabs from the event and stuff. And so really the only reps that you could get on the main roster is you're hoping that you're on both Raw and SmackDown. And then you're also hoping that you're on the weekend shows of Saturdays and Sundays. And there's really only a couple days a week that you can wrestle, when we're coming from like a time period in like the 80s and 90s where these people were wrestling like literally 5 days a week. Ric Flair talks about wrestling every day of the week and twice on Saturdays and Sundays. And, it's just a big drastic change. And obviously, like without the repetition, you're not going to, like, you can still become a star, but like you want it to look as real as possible in the ring. Obviously, I'm not a wrestler. I don't get it. I don't understand. But obviously, practice makes perfect.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So they're just not getting as much as they need. It looked like they were walking, like the girls' match. There was one point where it just looked like they were counting the steps in the ring before they would put the headlock on. I was just like, okay, what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah, no, a lot of these guys are pretty fresh. I mean, it is nice. You can definitely see, the match that did the best, in my opinion, and you like too, the Wesley Dijak match. Both of those guys were originally indie guys, and
they were just going for it. Yeah,
right. They came in. They're both indie guys. Like you could tell they're more seasoned than most of the other people on the roster. You look at that the 4-way tag team match, and it's like, which another guy who shot up in value is Wolfgang. Not because he actually shot up, but he couldn't be much lower value-wise than he currently was, so he can only go up.
True. So, when you start at the bottom,
Yeah, well, I got his 1 of 1 from Prism, so it might be time to pop it up on the old eBay.
He's the one guy where you're like, he's the typical blaster auto guy. You're like, oh man, maybe I'll get an auto. Oh, it looks like there's an auto in the back. It's fucking Wolfgang. Just throw that away.
Yeah. I saw, what was it, Mad Collects pulled a Wolfgang auto, and it said Wolfgang, and then under it he just wrote "sucks dick," and I was just like, oh my god, like
Hey, okay, so I think we've kind of put a pin on this NXT stuff. While we're here, we'll stop at an hour mark. But what if? Do you want to talk about like some crazy pulls you've seen on Whatnot recently, or just anything cool that you've seen like broken out of a product or anything? I don't know.
What besides all the cool stuff I'm pulling from a premium Prism, Evan? Besides that,
Anything, just anything. Like,
um,
because I haven't been on Whatnot too much lately, and I just kind of like to hear like some of these big cards that people are pulling. I know someone pulled the Hogan out of 12, impeccable. I
yeah,
thought
that was
was
from the
cool.
mystery pack. Not too much. My dude Josh pulled 2 101s from Impeccable. He pulled the Becky and the Drew McIntyre like plate one, which the whole concept of those blue plates, it's like how do you really like they don't seem valued as high as other 101. The whole thing is just like
I know.
which one like because that's the thing
It's
earlier
like
when
you pick your color that you like and you go with it.
yeah, because earlier you were talking about like
That's,
oh that Braun Breaker card might be $1,000. And I was trying to say something. We got, when you have 3 people, sometimes it's hard to get a word in. But I was going to say, like, I don't necessarily agree that that card's $1,000 card because it's really like, especially in wrestling, more so than a lot of stuff. Like, if you find the right collector who really collects that one person, any card might have a different value. You know what I mean? Like what you thought
true.
was value. If you
That's
like,
why I use eBay. You hope to see the most people with it.
yeah,
So you're looking for that person with eBay.
exactly.
Real quick, we were talking about that Braun sold for $1,750. That's fucking great money for first year auto. That's really cool. He's still not like 1750 level for me. Obviously, Roman Reigns has 101s and they don't sell for 1750 is what I'm saying. Like that's pretty cool. So my other sentiment on that is the person that bought that card, there's also a Prism 101 probably around if it hasn't been pulled yet. And
or it might have, and
what's the value on that card?
You might not
like, is it?
Well, that's the thing, Evan, is that some of these cards may have been pulled, but the person may never have posted it.
Yeah.
So, because I've never seen, for example, like Carmelo Hayes, right? I've seen 2 of his gold autos. I have one of his gold autos from Prism. I've actually seen 3 of them since I own one, and I've seen 2 currently on eBay. I've never seen like Mojo auto of his. I've never seen the blue auto of his. I've never seen the red out of 99 auto of his. And I've never seen the 1 of 1. But I've seen 3 golds, but I've never seen like any of the lower numbered autos of his besides the base.
That's crazy.
I've never even seen a silver Carmelo Hayes auto either. I've only seen, like I said, base and 3 golds, and that's it. So it makes me wonder, like, because I look on eBay and I can't even find like previously sold. Like I just want to see a picture to see if it even exists. You know what I mean? Because I'm curious if he even has numbered autos past a certain point. You know what I mean?
Well, my other thought would be is think about how much they printed that shit.
Right.
There's probably cases and cases and cases and cases of these. So which I don't think hurts the value of the gold. In fact, I think it makes it way harder.
Oh yeah.
To pull that, obviously knowing with how much they probably printed. And so the fact that some of these other colors haven't even come up, like it's kind of surprising. It's just kind of the same with the Braun. Like, I'll watch his base auto just to see where it ends because I have one. And I'm waiting to see it like spike up, and it really hasn't, which I was surprised. And I also picked up the Gable for like $30, which when that card first came out and dropped,
so expensive,
easily like $300-400 probably, which is so crazy. Some of these people were left with some overpriced shit, sadly.
Yeah, the whole I don't know. Gable to me is fascinating because they, it seemed like they weren't using him, and they brought him up for the Kurt thing, and they had him at last year's WrestleMania, and it just makes you wonder because that man is like, besides Legends, he's like the most all over Chronicles of like anyone besides like Legends and some Cody Rhodes shit. Like Gable Steveson is all over Chronicles, man. It's impossible to not hit Gable Steveson cards. They're freaking everywhere, man.
Yeah. I don't
So,
know. The hobby is very interesting, and I always enjoy chatting with people and shooting the shit. And just because I don't watch NXT doesn't mean I don't really know who these wrestlers are, because I still open so much product that like I see them all the time. I feel
yeah,
like,
it's hard not to know.
yeah, especially even people that maybe aren't even normally on TV. So in my head, I'm thinking they're probably wrestling more than they are. Coming across from just opening the card standpoint. Um, okay? So obviously Carmelo's your guy, but who's
Right.
your next? Who's your next in line for NXT right now? We'll close it out with that.
Well, right now I think my two main guys in NXT would probably be Carmelo and Grayson.
Yeah.
Once you get past them, if you're just talking like speculating of people who aren't getting time currently, like I said, I like Nathan Frazier. I'm not sure about his personality. I know his in-ring work is amazing. When he was in AEW as Ben Carter, his in-ring work was
Mhm.
fantastic, and there was a bidding war between the two of them to get his services. And then I
Cool.
haven't seen her wrestle much, but a lot of people I know who collect a lot of these women's cards is mostly off appeal and blah blah blah. I'm big on Jakara. She's pretty nice. Sol Raka, people seem to like her a lot. I get asked about her a lot as well. There's this one woman who I believe she's Puerto Rican, and she was like debating between becoming an MMA fighter or a WWE fighter, and she decided to do WWE, which I think she made a better choice because a lot less head trauma, if we're gonna be honest
Yeah.
here. So
Yeah.
I forgot her name, but I like her too because again, she looks believable. Like she's
Mhm.
jacked. I haven't seen her in-ring skills yet. She looks good. Sol Raka, some of her in-ring moves have looked really good, and like I said, I've been asked by a ton of people already about her cards and when they're coming out and what's said and blah blah blah. Like when you get her cards, let me know. That's like the number one person I've been asked for.
So with all that being said, and she was, I don't think she was on the pay-per-view, but can we talk a little bit about Ava Raine and like how they're booking her and using her? Because she's
She
kind of like the, whether she's good or bad, everyone's kind of got their eyes on to see what's going to happen.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, they did her a huge favor because they just put her with
Joe
freaking
Gacy.
Joe Gacy, who's already hot, and then they have like
Yeah.
what is that, the Dryad or whatever the hell that thing's called. So like they put her with them, and it seems like the plan is like give her TV time, see what's up, and they're just holding off on her actually wrestling. Which, to
Yeah.
be honest, the fact is like at this point, I don't think they really need her to wrestle yet because of the fact that she's she's a part of their faction. They're kind of getting like the more she doesn't wrestle, the more people are going to want to see her wrestle. You know what I mean?
I know.
Especially since she's new.
Don't
Here we
I
go.
only
That's who
see,
I
I
was
don't know
talking
who
about.
Valerie is. Oh, is that the person? Okay.
Yeah, that's who I was talking about. Oh, she was in Bellator. Okay, cool. She was in Bellator.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
she looks very believable. Besides obviously being drop dead gorgeous, she's like you look at her and it
I
looks like
thought
it's
I
ass.
thought Sonya Deville had like, I mean, when she first came out, her look, her like MMA style look, I was like, she's gonna get over. People are gonna love her. And then I just think that she kind of just fell into that. She's like Dolph Ziggler now, the female Dolph Ziggler.
I mean, that's kind of just
Sadly.
but again, I think that kind of just goes with the whole Vince McMahon seeing people a certain way differently than they would see him on NXT.
Yeah.
And a lot of people end up losing their gimmicks just because of the fact that Vince is like, well, I don't see you as that. Like the classic example is like, look at Karrion Kross, man. The guy was so over in NXT. His presentation, everything was great. Everyone loved his entrance. Everyone loved the music. Everyone loved Scarlett. They come up, they take away Scarlett. They switch everything up. They put that stupid helmet on him. Yeah, another
Yeah.
one too, right here. Shayna Baszler.
Oh my God, seriously, yeah.
Like Shayna's another person who's believable. I have a lot of great Shayna cards. I was considering PCing her, and I'm pretty much giving up on it and going to post most of my stuff just because it's one of those things where it's like, I know she's not the best talker, but either's Brock Lesnar. Put a mouthpiece with her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And let her do her thing. Like she's believable. She can kick ass. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just the way they book a lot of these people. Just they destroy their value to the point where like even like guys like Happy Corbin and stuff too. You look at them and it's like kind of like, all right, whatever.
Dude, even I no, it's not even. I think the overproducing of autographs in Panini has really changed the landscape of card collecting. Sadly, and I'm of course I would want everyone to be able to have and afford an autograph that they want, especially if their favorite wrestler. So I get that,
Right.
but it's like there's so many damn Brock Lesnar autographs now that his autograph sells like that used to be like easily like a $200 card. Now it's like 80 to 120. And you're like, what? I just saw a printing plate autograph 101 sell for like 130 on eBay. That's pretty brutal for how Brock was like here.
Right.
And this is a tops card. So I think people look, have saved searches less for tops now because Panini's running. But I even seen Triple H autographs in for like $80.
Oh, dude,
and that to me is just crazy.
I saw Brock Lesnar auto gold from Prism PSA 10 go for like $150.
Brutal. They've killed the auto market on these guys. They've killed it.
Right. There's just so much out there that it's like it kind of, unless it's like Stone Cold or Hulk, and even them, dude, some of these Stone Cold autos now are going for less than I thought too.
Dude, I'm honestly, when I pull one of those cards, if I pull one again, I normally just put it right on eBay because I'm like, man, there's not going to be much value if I hold on to like that Hogan that was like his base auto out of Chronicles. It's kind of a cool photo. I like the photo. I'm not a big fan that it says like Hall of Fame or whatever.
Yeah,
it's kind of whatever.
Yeah,
kind of kills it, and I think that's why you've been seeing them sell like it goes for 150 or less. And on Mercari, I saw one end for like 120 or 115. So people are just trying to move this stuff, which at that price, I think I paid 130 a box. They probably did okay on the box.
Yeah.
Because all your other numbered cards, you probably had something that was worth.
Well, I know my friend Ralph didn't pull, but he bought a Hogan Gold Hall of Fame auto, not even for that much. Because a lot of those Chronicles autos, it's kind of tough to even notice that they're really gold. You know what I'm saying?
True. Like, there's too much coloring going on. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Because I saw someone with one Bushwhacker Luke or some shit, and I could barely tell it was a 1-on-1 until I was like, like really squinting in there, like, what is that?
So with talking about all that, and I'm, you see Undertaker autographs now, like, so just, before Panini, and obviously it doesn't matter. Panini's here, like it's already happened. But before Panini existed, you couldn't find a Taker autograph for probably less than like $400, I would say, on card because his shit was expensive. Like, and every time Topps released him as a card, it was like actually I would say probably 300 is the more accurate representation for Undertaker. But like anytime he did have an autograph card, it was like 25 or less. It wasn't like a base autograph. Yeah. And I've been seeing these base Undertaker autographs, and I'm like, how many of these cards are out there? It's obviously more than 25 or 50 if there's no print run on it.
Right.
And in the end, it's just killing the market for. I feel bad for some of these other people that spent big money on their collections, like for their Stone Cold and Undertaker and Triple H autographs, because it's all went down tremendously since Panini took over.
Oh, yeah. Well, when we get offline, I have an interesting Undertaker card to tell you about. I'm debating messing around with, but
wait. I still love I still love Taker. I mean,
you said wait.
A couple of things that are.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's sad. It's sad that like the overproduction has killed like the interest. Like, okay, let's just say, and this just shows why it's fucked up. So if Panini Chronicles at my hobby shop is $130 a box, okay, I'm sure people are paying more for that. But he I'm like one of the very few wrestling people in town. So he cut me a deal. If you pull a Hulk Hogan autograph out of that, which you would think would be a pretty dang good card, right. It doesn't even pay for the box. Like, that's how it should work. If you pull a Hogan autograph, it should pay for whatever you pay for.
At least,
in my opinion.
At least, if not more.
So that just shows like where we're at right now. Like if you get in, back in the day, if you got an HBK autograph, you're like, well, it'll definitely pay for the box, but not much more. Now, if you get HBK autograph, you're like, okay, what do you think I'm going to get for this? Like $45 or something? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen Shawn Michaels autographs even fall in like the year I've been on Whatnot from when I first started to now. Like I've definitely seen his stuff go down too, because I remember his autos used to be a bit more rare, and that's like you said, it's more accessible, but it's really diluting the market too, because it's like, all right, this is the best Undertaker card until the next set, and then that's the best Undertaker card,
And I'll bitch about this stuff on Twitter, and people are like, and I get it where they're coming from. Like the people that collect these guys, they're like, well, I like it because it means I can get more, or maybe I can finally own one, and that's cool. I want everyone to be able to afford like the cards of their guys that they want, because it's just more satisfying. But at the same time, if there's like 300 autographs of the Undertaker, instead of 25 or less, they're not as important anymore.
Right.
So
right. No.
All right. Well, I'm gonna hop off here. I think we successfully did this.
Yeah, I'll sign us off real quick. Stay on for a second while we're offline.
Okay.
But guys, I just wanted to thank Evan. I wanted to thank my guy Dan, Bang DDP. He's not here. I want to thank everyone for hanging out with us, including my guy Cloud Life Smiley, Brohan, Mamista. If anyone else is here who wants a shout out, type something in the chat and I'll shout you out. Make sure to follow Schway Nostalgia and Evans on Tour on Whatnot and Twitter. Also, check us out on eBay. You could also check me out, obviously, on YouTube and Twitch. I will be on later tonight, guys, if you guys want to come hang out on Breaking Some Premium Prism. Again, guys, thank everyone for hanging out. We're going to do this again soon. I appreciate it. And have a great day. Evan, do you have anything to say before we go, or you're good?
Just thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. See you guys soon. I'll be on Whatnot later.